Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Zach's Live Trader. Here with you, as always, the people's champ of Wall Street, the bearded boy wonder, Dave Bartosiak. And today, my friends, we are talking chips. Chips aren't just for dips. They're for all sorts of folks. AMD, Advanced Micro Devices, with the aptly named ticker AMD. Bruno, how you doing? Jim, welcome. I saw there were quite a few people waiting on YouTube for this one, so that's good. We're here. Where else are we? Well, you know where we are. Somebody's there. It's usually Trevor or Freak or Jim, or Kurt or Dr. Paul. In our chat room that you can basically just, I don't know, you can just go in there and say whatever you want to say. Well, ask whatever you want to ask. And we got a bunch of people there that are looking at trade ideas. And yeah, so it's, chat room's free, of course, just like the videos here. And feel free to come by and check us out and hang out, and that's right there at the Discord link that we got put in there. So there you go. Afro Boricua, what's up? Welcome again. Trevor, what's up? Mr. Wallace. Tracy, thank you for the email. I appreciate it. Saw that this morning, so thanks. She got forwarded from somebody else. Afternoon. It is afternoon. It's afternoon for me. I know it's the morning probably for a lot of folks over here on the East Coast. Definitely, it's noon. It's nice. The sun's out. I can see it shining. Everything looking good. Everything looking good. I've got the Tiesto bumping for Dr. Paul. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's get back to basics here, right? What we always do about this time. When you're looking at AMD, when you're looking at any stock, step one is this price consensus and EPS surprise chart here on Zacks.com. Why do I like this chart so much? Well, because it's spectacular. You can glean so much information just from this one chart, and it helps make sense out of a lot of things. Here at Zacks, it's the holy house of earnings, right? So everything we do centered around earnings. Now, this black line corresponds to the right y-axis, which is price. The red arrows are earnings misses, lots of them back here. Green arrows are earnings beats, lots of them recently. The multicolored lines represent the evolution of our Zacks consensus estimates over time. Correspond to this left y-axis, which is, I don't even know what's happening over here. So don't worry about the actual scale of this. Don't worry about it. What is important is these multicolored lines representing the evolution of our Zacks consensus estimates over time. And what is this telling us? Well, a little trough here in earnings. I really like using this chart because earnings trends take a long time to develop. It's not like a price trend that can change on a dime. It takes a while for these things to develop. So when you get that nice trough in earnings bottoming out in 2016 and then things start to look up, it's a very good sign for AMD. What else is a good sign is notice how here into the beginning of 2017, it almost looked like these estimates were starting to roll over. You got a lot of choppiness in the stock as a result. But really, since that second report of 2017, it's been in the positive direction here for AMD. Not just the current year, but also next year. That is a very good thing, and we're going to get into valuations a little later on in the video, and we're going to see where is AMD in terms of its historical valuation. Because this is a stock that I know they haven't been making money forever, price to sales is going to be something that we're obviously going to take a look at. We're going to relate it to the rest of the market. We're also going to take a look at it on NVIDIA, or compare it to NVIDIA and Intel. to give you some idea, some players in the space. Now, you guys should know the history of AMD. Always kind of been that number 2 chip maker. It was to Intel for a very long time, back in the days of the PC wars, you know, where you had basically you could spend a lot of money and get the Intel chip, or go to the cheap route and get the AMD. It's still kind of that way. And then as the graphics processing units evolved and NVIDIA really started to gain ground there, it was another situation where NVIDIA was the more expensive, higher performing chip, and then the AMD came in a little bit cheaper and tried to get that sort of secondary market. Now recently, I mean, the Internet of Things has created huge demand for chips across the board, not just AMD chips or NVIDIA chips or Intel chips, but just all over. And I saw in the I think it was Aaron, I think it was you, my friend. You were talking about, or was it? No, it was it was our friend Itza. Talking about the differences in the markets for the NVIDIAs and the AMDs and things like that, right? So they are different, but I think overall what you have to understand is that there's just a lot more demand for chips in general as the world just becomes more and more high tech. Do you know how many chips you're going to have in these autonomous cars? That's right around the corner, okay? Fiat Chrysler just said they're going to deliver thousands and thousands of cars of Chrysler Pacifica hybrid minivans. They're already level 4 autonomous tech. Level 4 autonomous tech means you need some human driver intervention from time to time. So in November, they were already level 4. After that, it's level 5. Level 5 is where it's humans are just cargo, and you're just going from point A to point B. Waymo is a service that's launching that. That's happening in Phoenix, the first ride-hailing service that's fully autonomous, and that's happening this year. So chips in cars all over, definitely a big deal. And then, of course, the Internet of Things. And, I mean, we can go on and on. I don't think I have to sit here and tell you that chips are in demand, okay? So that's not really where the concern is. The concern for us is going to be valuations, growth, revenue growth, and what's this overall trend here on the price consensus and EPS surprise chart. I think Bulls looks pretty bullish to me, right? Overall trend looks nice. I'm talking just about these earnings trends, right? We're going to get into the actual price chart later on, but as far as the earnings trend, that looks good. All right, now let's look at the detailed estimates page here on Zacks. We have it as a Zacks rank number 3 hold. Now again, that doesn't mean that a few of us at Zacks went, man, I think we're going to hold it. This is sort of an amalgam that we make of all of the earnings estimates that are out there. How much have these estimates moved? How much are the analysts agreeing with each other? What have the recent surprises been? This kind of thing. So that's why it's a hold. This is surprising, though, that the industry is in the bottom 23% of our Zacks industry rank. You'd think things would be much more bullish here. After the close here, they're reporting. So this is the thing here, my friends. This week, we're doing all kind of just morning of shows, okay? Or day of shows. I try not to do that, but I figured let's spice things up a little bit, switch up styles, do some day of shows. Because you know I don't like doing shows on Mondays. Monday, I need to settle in and figure out, get my bearings for the week. I can't just go 100 miles on Monday. Plus, I have all sorts of other stuff, you know, Zacks-related stuff I got to take care of, so I don't like to do Monday shows. So as a result, I didn't want to cut out a lot of these really good ones, like AMD. I didn't want to cut that out. Didn't want to cut out Amazon, right? Didn't want to cut out Alibaba. So we're kind of going to jam them all up day of. So it's not ideal. I know a lot of you would rather I, do it a couple days ahead of time. Me too. Just, it is what it is. Look at this, folks. The ESP, 12.75%. That's a good thing. It's a very good thing. Basically means that the recent earnings estimates have been to the upside. And if you think about it, if you are sitting here and you're an analyst for the stock and you basically get paid as is how accurate you are in terms of these earnings reports. If you're going to increase, push that bar a little bit higher ahead of earnings reports, you better have a darn good reason to do it. And this must have just happened. We're going to see how recently this happened. First, let's look at these sales numbers. Current quarter, year-over-year growth, 26.88%. Next quarter looks like 24.48. Next year is going to be 12.27, so very solid revenue growth. We're going to keep that in mind when we're looking at the price to sales ratio a little bit later on. Now, here's where the nonsense is. I don't care about 600% growth if a year ago you lost a penny and now you're going to make 5 cents. Doesn't make sense to me, right? None of this, forget about this number, just stupid, okay? But this is important. What the current year is going to round out at 13 cents. Next year, 34 cents. Now, this is troubling. Current year, 13 cents, right? On a $13 stock. Next year, 34. Yeah, that's a pretty good jump there. But, you know, we'll get you taken care of, Kurt. Don't worry about it. Over the last 30 days, you do have one analyst that has increased their earnings estimate for the current quarter, next quarter, current year, and next year. So not a lot of bullish behavior, but there was some. What's that overall impact been to the consensus? Well, it didn't even move the needle. So how does that happen? How does somebody move up and it doesn't move the needle? Well, you had a recent one and you had an older one fall off, and they happen to be kind of right around the same. So that's why there's no movement here. And this is why this is a Zach's rank number 3 hold right now. Okay? It's the hold. And then here you get that upside. So when you see that ESP number, right, like I first saw, I went, oh, it's 12.75%. That's good. Always make sure to go down the page and take a look at this. And you go, oh, it's 1 penny. It's 1 penny. So it's not as impressive as it looks like at first glance. Okay. All right. Miguel wants to check the spread next year on the high-low. We've got that here. So you've got a high estimate of 52 cents and a low estimate of 19 cents, right? So yeah, that is a relatively dramatic spread. But if you make 19 or you make 52 and you're still a $13 stock, how much is that going to move the needle, right? You're always going to have some spreads here. Because you have that on the revenue side too, right? Somebody thinks you're going to make 6.2. Somebody thinks you're going to make 5.6. The more estimates you have, the better the consensus number is. So having 10 estimates here on AMD, the consensus number really sticks out here. Okay. Now, let's look at, so these are sort of a bigger picture of the revenues. I like to go get some historical perspective, right? And here we can see some roughness. 2015 was very rough. Now we're in this sort of new era. 2016, nice little bounce back. 2017 still supposed to round out as pretty good. 23% growth is what AMD is expecting here. You want 1.4 billion for the quarter. Next year, next quarter, everything's looking good too. Okay, so this is all good. Let's see how this translates to the earnings side of the equation. And again, don't pay so much attention to this year-over-year change, right? It doesn't. So you're always going to notice there's going to be some change in these numbers versus that number. It's because we're looking at two different things. So you get the BNRI on one, So the real point is increasing, okay? Upward trajectory. And they are slated to be in the green, finally, for this year. So let's look at valuations. Now, I'm just going to show the PE just so you can laugh at it. Are you giggling yet? Literally off the charts. Because you saw where they weren't making any money, and it's just silly. So I don't know how many people are out there using, 50 multiple. And by the way, this is next year's earnings too, as justification for going long a stock like this, right? I doubt it. So we're going to use the price to sales to try and gain some perspective here. Now here you go. Rocking out for you, Dr. Paul. You know it. Got to spread the Miami love here. There you go. I can only make it so loud because then I can't hear my own thoughts. So here we have AMD in terms of price to sales. This is trailing 12. Looking in the rear view. 2.8 times for AMD. The rest of the semis are up at 5.59. So that's a significant discount to the industry. Now we can go ticker by ticker. Just a couple of very famous competitors. First, we're going to do NVIDIA. Look at that. NVIDIA trades 17 times sales. That's pretty dramatic. Pretty dramatic. This is way out there. Then let's do Intel. This is going to be much more tame, obviously. 3.73. So still, you do get Intel trading at a discount here. AMD rather trading at a discount to Intel in terms of price to sales. Micron, sure. Let's throw Micron in here. So, Micron's all about the memory prices. And Micron's at a little bit of a discount here. Now, Micron, a little different company, right? They're all about that DRAM. So what you'll notice is that Micron will move in step basically with DRAM prices. And DRAM kind of trades like its own little commodity. So it has trends that develop over time and is ruled by the great powers of supply and demand, and it takes a while for new DRAM factories to come online, and it's a whole process. But yeah, AMD and Micron starting to trade very close to each other in terms of that price to sales. Just to give you some perspective, looking at the market overall, how many of you thought that this was going to happen? That AMD was going to trade at a discount to the stock market in terms of price to sales. Now, obviously, what happens here with AMD is that they spend a lot of money on R&D because you're trying to find that next thing and stay on top of the game, and that gets a little bit expensive. So there's that. Okay, so overall, what do we glean here? I think we're saying that AMD is relatively cheap to its peers on a price to sales basis. But when it comes to earnings, it's not even close, right? Because it's off the charts, and now we're at 50 times forward earnings, and it's just kind of silly. Hopefully that can come down. But I think we should be excited that this could be the year potentially where AMD finds itself in the green, and that is a good driver for stock prices. All right, now before I look at I guess we'll do that right now. What the heck? I was gonna say, let's look at the consolidated surprise chart. Might as well just finish all this while we're here. These bad boys have a tendency to move. So you saw last quarter a big dip, small gain, huge dip, nice rally. These guys are going to move. I don't have any question in my mind that these guys are going to move. A lot of volatility in this stock. Scroll back a little further. Look at this. March 2016, the stock went up 47%. Now, granted, it was a much cheaper stock back then, but just a lot of movement. So this thing's pretty volatile, and I think you're going to see that in the implied volatility that's in these options prices. New site, guys. We did this last time, guys and gals. I did this last time. We didn't use freestockcharts.com because it kept crashing. So it forced me to find another site. And you know what? I think I like these guys. Tradingview.com, I've been using them. I wish I could. Can I move this out of the way? It would be nice if I could get rid of this. Anyway. Suppose you could connect your broker to it and everything. So here's AMD. Oh, that was the one thing I don't have on this, is the volume at price indicator. So I didn't like that. But here's what we can do. A few things. Oh man, we got a lot of things. We gotta draw some fibs. Gotta draw some fibs. Look at that. The big move. If you notice, retracement here. Find some support. Look at what happened here. This is great. Spike down to the fib. Also, the 50-day. Oh, that's the 200-day even. Wow. To the 200-day. Oversold commodity channel index. You buy it. Surges back up. Hits a resistance level. Overbought commodity channel index. Creeping back down to the 200-day. And then they do it again. Oversold CCI. Just below the fib. And we're back up. Now, over the 200-day moving average. The only thing is I can't do... Let's do this. I can only do a few indicators at a time unless I sign in. And I'll probably end up paying for this. Not momentum. No, get out of here. Oh, goodness. Get out of here. We're going to try this again. Moving average. There we go. Okay, now over here I can set this format. We're going to make that 50-day. Make it a little bold. Where's my thug pink? All right. So you can clearly see here that the interaction on AMD has been more with the 200-day than it has with the 50. Okay. But recently, what do we have? Getting a little top heavy, so it's a little bit overbought here. But look at this. That we've got a fib level that's coinciding with that 200-day. Now, on a stock that moves a lot, like AMD does, or this is the 50-day rather, I'm sorry. So you have the fib there coinciding with the 50-day. On a stock that moves a lot, no, that is with the 200-day. Oh my goodness, try again, Dave. Here's the fib. This is, in fact, the 200-day. Okay, very good. There we go. I can grab it on the left side. Okay, I'm going to grab it on the left side. On the left side? There we go. Awesome. Thank you for that. I appreciate it, George. All right, now we got that out of the way. We see the interaction here with the fib and the 200-day. 50-day all the way down here at 1150. Now on a stock that moves a lot like AMD, you gotta expect that the further areas are what's going to be tested, okay? Also, something to note, look at this gap down, and we're trading within that gap down now. So it's daring to get filled, and then of course you have the highs up there. Got a swing low here, which is corresponding basically with this 50-day. So here are your levels. 1230 is the first step here on the way down. Next, you got it. What is that? 1150. And then from there, it's, you know, sub 10. And normally we don't talk about crazy possibilities like that. 30% off of where it is today, but have you seen some of these stocks get hammered today? I should change SMG to shaking my head. Shaking my head. Oh, no worries, Tajesh. I like it. I like it when you steal my thunder and you jump out above. Because if I had a parallel universe where I could sync up the delivery on both of those, it would be awesome. It is ironic that this happens so often. So let's go ahead and do that. Look at this, guys. So we're going to pull up here AMD, the options chain on bar chart. This front week here, since they're reporting today, change it from the stacked view to the side by side. I'll put this back here just so I get that out of my memory. So just about $13 holler. So that's where you should look. You bust out the handy dandy calculator. At the money calls are trading 72 cents. At the money put 64 cents. That's a $1.36 they're looking for on 13. Looking for a 10.4% move here out of AMD. So they're really looking for something here, right? 10% move. And where does that put you? Like Tajesh said, right around the 50-day to the downside. And right about 14.25, so in between here to the upside. Okay, this is what we're going to do. First of all, for you lotto players out there, you should be licking your chops because this is definitely one of them. I'm going to get out of here. I like to catch a little post-earnings drift. I'm going to make, because we've got such a short-term time frame here, we've got a stock here that's only today, right? We got today. You got to decide if you want to mess around with it. Again, guys, you can always wait till tomorrow and catch some post-earnings drift, right? Obviously, the much safer way to play things. If you're a long-term holder of AMD, you can use our analysis here to decide if it's something you want to stick around with. I would already. I'm going to tell you, if I was AMD over the long run, I would stick around here. I like this. I like what's happening. Let's get a little vertical, though. Give you some ideas. So we basically said that 1430 is what they're implying to the upside here. So we can call that 1450. Now take a look at this. The 1450 is going to cost you 92 cents for that $13 call, which, by the way, is 36,406 contracts of open interest. If you simultaneously sell that 1450, you're going to get back 39 of those cents. So your net outlay here is 153. The difference in the strike prices is 150. Minus that 53 is 97 cents you could potentially make on 53, or a whopping 183%. Now, I know that's a huge number, but remember, this is a huge move. Stock would have to go 15% in order for you to get that. That's kind of crazy, right? But in a highly volatile stock like AMD, certainly could happen. Now, oftentimes what I'll do is I'll drop it down a little bit even. So instead of going all the way out to 14.50, I'll say, well, what if you just went to 14? But I'm telling you, we're looking at the stock here. So 14.50 is basically the top of this October level, okay? We're already within the gap. I think if the stock goes to 14, it goes to 14.50, no question. So that's kind of why I'm leaning on that further out. So check it out. So we'll bull debit idea rather. Long the Feb 16. Is it the 16th? Yeah. 13, 14, 50. Call spread for 53 cents. Net debit. Very risky business. High likelihood of it blowing up in your face and you losing all of your money. I have to give these disclaimers because they need to be there. You need to understand this is not something you roll the dice with your life savings with, okay? It's not. Very risky business. On the flip side, you gotta believe that a bad day takes it all the way down to that 11.50, okay? And I firmly believe it would do every part of that on a bad day, because this market is not forgiving. $13 put's going to cost 84 cents, simultaneously shorting the 11.50. You're going to get back 29 of those cents, 55 cents being your net outlay here. Difference in the strike price is still $1.50 minus the 55 means you could do 95 on 55 or 172%. That's the bear debit. Long Feb 16, 13, 11.50. Put spread for a 55 cent net debit. Okay. If you're really bearish on the stock. Now, I'm going to say that trying to go out here and sell credit spreads on this, or go out here and sell credit spreads, it's like picking up pennies in front of a steamroller, okay? Because, yeah, I think you could say, well, there's some resistance up there at 14.50, so you could sell a 14.50, 15.50 spread up here, and you'd get 19 cents, but you'd still have, 81 cents at risk. Maybe not what you want to do, just because of its tendency to move on these reports. We can even look here. How often does AMD go sideways? Does it? Doesn't look that way. It's all over the place. Another reason why I'm liking this new thing is, look, we can get the exact date of the earnings report. So here's the last earnings, and then just evaporated. Earnings report before that, down, down. So it hasn't been since basically a year ago where you had a solid report out of AMD and things went well. Okay? So it's been a while. And during that last report, you actually had AMD right there on its 50-day. Surged higher. Previous report just under the 50-day, dipped lower. Above, a little regression to the mean. For me, I like the fact that AMD has spent some time here underneath the 200-day moving average. I always tell people, especially in a market like this, a bull market, you better have a really good reason why a stock is trading underneath its 200-day moving average. It should be very compelling. Should be a bullish thesis, a bearish thesis rather, that's playing out. It's actively playing out. Because in a market like this, stocks simply don't spend much time underneath that 200-day moving average. Okay. And AMD has already had this period where it flirted with it for a while. So lots of flirtation with the 200-day, gets forced under, and then has been met with renewed vigor. And now they're buying it. They're buying it again. Dr. Paul, to answer your question, buying the at the money straddle, I think is okay if you're going to do that front week and prepare for some serious action, and you better be on your game because it moves. I think it will move. But I've taken, and you could certainly do that, Dr. Paul. I've taken too many kind of net neutral stances recently, and it hasn't, and they haven't worked. Done too many iron condors on bank stocks that ended up where they're actually moving a little bit, and I'm just, today I'm feeling frisky. So I'm going to say the trade that pays is the bull debit. For you guys that really want to be aggressive, as tempting as it is to dig in on this, you still have to pay a lot. Look at this. You're still paying 33 cents to buy the $14 call here. So it's kind of expensive out here. And you're not the only one taking those bets. See that? Look at all this. So be careful, my friends. It's still expensive out here. Okay? It's still expensive out here. And if the stock really falls apart, the 1250 put might be a good idea. I just don't see, you know, even the 1350 call, I guess for 51 cents isn't a terrible way to play it. The 14 just feels really far away from me. I don't know. It would really have to move a lot. And I'm just thinking that the market, that the options market has it priced decently. At least to the upside. The only other time this earnings season really I've seen something crazy going up has been Netflix. And then I've seen a few crazy coming down. Right? Crazy coming down there on UAL. What do you folks think about this? By the way, I just stumbled across a trade here. On UAL. That looks like it's found support here at the 50-day. Actually might be time to peck at that a little bit. And then the other one we were talking about was Netflix. Just Netflix just doesn't care. They're just going to 1 million. And then the rest of this week we're gonna have more we're gonna have more tech stuff. So for now, I think AMD gets capped within this range. So that's why I was a little bit hesitant looking at the strangle, or the straddle rather. I'm gonna go a little bullish bias because we're above that 200-day. Let's see if I can answer. Oh man, now we got all sorts of stuff popping off. Frank, I wanted to answer you. Are all the expiry dates for these options you're mentioning February 2nd? Most of what I was mentioning before was February 16th. The last little bit I was talking about for these quote-unquote lottos, so very aggressive, basically rolls of the dice for the degenerate gamblers out there, which is basically us saying, okay, if there's an outlandish report and AMD really takes off, how can I benefit a lot? Those were the ones I was talking about in that February 2nd. When I'm looking at these and we're applying some of the Zach's analysis to these trades, you got to go out further because you want to catch that post-earnings drift. The other thing to do, obviously, do not trade before the earnings report. Wait until the next morning and then buy in the direction of the earnings trend. In this case, it's to the upside, assuming they have another decent report here and that earnings trend is likely to continue. It's obviously the much lower risk way to play it. And again, go out a few weeks, catch some post-earnings drift. AMD can be one that moves a lot if they guide well with some cryptocurrency love in there. Yeah, I mean, absolutely, sure. It could. I mean, that's part of the unknowns of these earnings reports. We're not 100% sure what's going to happen here. So that's why I like to mess around with these, if you're going to mess around with these, by using options, because I'm actually limiting my downside. If I bought 100 shares of AMD stock here and the stock goes down $2, I lose $200. If I spend 50 cents on an option, I still control the same 100 shares of stock, but my downside is limited. So there you go. All right. Well, that's all I got for you here today on Zach's Live Trader. Folks, remember, if you're around and if you have some new trade ideas or you put something on and you want to share with the crew, come on down. Oh, did I screw that one up? I didn't put the slash in there. I didn't put the slash. Let me edit this. I can't edit it. I was trying to put this chat room here for you. It's the discord.gg/ what is it? Little P BWC. We're gonna wait till this creeps across. PBWC big M little S big G. That's what it is. There's a chat room. You can hang out with us all the time. The Lotto, Dr. Paul, I thought it was a little expensive here for the Lotto, actually, because as you went out, that skew was there. So there's that. I think waiting until after the report and then applying a shorter term trade in the direction of a fade, right? Assuming it jumps up, fading it. If it dips down, buying it. That's kind of what I'm thinking of. Okay. So there you go, guys. So overall, my trade that pays. I think the bullish call spread is going to work on this one. They're just due for it, man. They're due. They're due. They're above the 200-day, and this turn up started at the fib. And look at the gap up over the 200-day or over the 50-day into the 200, and then they fought their way over the 200. I think that's a sign that some big boys have been adding to their AMD positions, and that should be bullish here in the short term for AMD. All right, folks, that's all I got for you here today on Zach's Live Trader. I want to thank you so much for your participation. Of course, if you're not hooked up with the schedule, livetrader@zax.com, I'll make sure you get on our email chain so you know when these are happening. And of course, as always, you can hang out with us in the chat room as I'm there from time to time, but somebody's always in there. And that's it. So that's all I got for you here today. I will see you tomorrow for Alibaba. That should be a good one too. Have a great day.